So you probably saw yesterday online that there was a ton of speculation running rampant that Pororo may have indeed just teased something cryptic towards Nintendo Switch 2, or potentially the reveal timeline, maybe even the launch date, or maybe it was something on the smaller side like a Nintendo World Championship remake, port, or just an NSO drop, or maybe we're just going to get Rad Racer. And now we have the exact answer to what all of this was, but I do want to unpack the reason why this got the internet in a tizzy, and myself included. To be fair, I was definitely in the mindset that that cartridge with SW1234, maybe it means something. The original post in question, you definitely have to look at from the perspective of Pororo normally makes hints, but he's also kind of cryptic at times, and you don't know exactly what he's hinting towards. And in this case, because that's kind of his track record, I believe he was having fun with just being the exact hint towards what it is that we are getting. So we know the announcement now, but I want to get on the same page with why everybody read into this as part of a potential thing for Switch 2, really the state of where we're at with Nintendo right now as we walk forward through the middle of May towards their investors briefing on May 7th, where we may hear something interesting, we may not, and how to kind of prepare your expectations for the rest of the year in case if we are in a drought season until all the way into as late as the fall, which is a real reality. Other than, I think you can put a lock on the June time Nintendo Direct presentation, but we'll get on the same page with all of that. Before we do, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notification to join Sunbro Nation if you're new here. And of course, the post in question that blew up online yesterday from Pororo directly was indeed this picture of Nintendo World Championship 1990, and this has, at the time of filming, over 1.4 million views on Twitter, or impressions rather is how they count them, X, Twitter, whatever you want to call them. Lots of people saw this, lots of content creators covered it. To be fair, I would have covered it, but due to my work schedule outside of YouTube, that did not pan out for me. But now I get to sit back and actually see what was announced. So not gonna lie, I definitely read into this as it had the potential to mean something more. Multiple Switch models maybe is kind of where my mind went if it was something on the bigger side, and if it was something on the smaller side, it probably was something like Nintendo World Championship, although I was thinking that Nintendo World Championship might be coming back. But you had everybody dissecting the numbers on the top. Potentially it's something like a May 7th reveal date, or maybe on the 3rd they're going to reveal something towards the Switch 2, since those are the numbers in front of SW2. And it appears that when we look at Pororo leaks going forward and teases going forward, we have to stop and remember this moment, because every now and then it is just teasing exactly what was revealed, because you could later see that there was officially an ESRB official rating that dropped for Nintendo World Championships NES Edition. Now, I don't know if Pororo knew that this was going to be the way that the info leaked out. Maybe he had some kind of inside knowledge that the game was about to get submitted for a rating, so he knew it would be more or less confirmed to the people before Nintendo made any kind of announcement. At the time of filming, there is no type of trailer or any announcement from Nintendo, but we do actually have a little bit of info to go off of what this game actually is, because it sounds like to me something that might just be shadow dropped one day, and I also wouldn't be surprised if it's just an eShop release. Maybe it does get a standalone cartridge as well, but I think we might get a shadow drop, and then in addition to that, we get something like maybe later on the physical run, because this is an interesting pick. Now, to be fair, we don't know what all games might come included with this. I'm hoping it's similar to the NES Remix Pack on the Wii U, but we don't know just how many games are included in there, because if this was just some kind of like one-to-one cartridge, we would only be getting Super Mario Bros., a portion of it at that, Rad Racer, and Tetris to play here, and I don't see Nintendo actually going through a lot of effort to re-release those exact titles just for nostalgia purposes. Now, we have also learned from Pororo, he literally confirmed it, not only the ESRB rating that more or less revealed to everybody that that's what this was, but he also had the following post which reads, "This is literally Nintendo World Championships NES Edition LOL." Now, he's having fun with this. It's no doubt that he knew people would absolutely overthink this, especially with the cartridge having all of those numbers and Switch SW1234 and all of that. But he also clarified it is not a free game. And then someone else asked, is this just a port of them? And his response was no. So we actually know for sure that it's not just a simple port. It could be something that is really the new version of Nintendo World Championships NES edition, and they're going to include far more games. We do also know the price point because he replied to somebody else asking about that, and it is $30. That's how much this game is going to cost. And you have to wonder, for $30 as a one-time purchase, they better bring more value than just the original collection of games, and I'm sure they will. Also, him saying that it's not just a port, I think more or less confirms that we will have some at least additional games to play through, maybe some even better looking visuals. I wouldn't be opposed to something that doesn't look NES style, like a modern day remake of those games, and then have some additional content on top of that. Although I'm not necessarily expecting that, because the title as it reads in the ESRB rating is legitimately NES edition, which makes me think it will have NES visuals for Nintendo World Championships. So this was an interesting leak, and it is of course not officially confirmed from Nintendo, but between Pororo, who has a flawless track record, and the ESRB rating this, obviously that's what's going on here. That's what he was hinting at, and we will just have to wait and see when we get a drop of a trailer. I would almost put this in the mindset of like Kirby's Dream Buffet when we saw that released as a social media announcement, and it was just readily available for download on the eShop, and that's also the only way we saw it sold from Nintendo. I could see this fitting into that same category, although I would say it has a higher likelihood of eventually getting a physical release, if not day and date, just because Nintendo World Championship has a lot of nostalgia for people, and I could see Nintendo knowing that maybe they have the physical collector side of the market on their side with this particular title. And to be fair, for me, I would pick this up as a physical game if I get it at all, not just a digital download. But I will tell you, for the $30 price point, I'm going to stop and think about it depending on how much content is actually in this thing. And that brings me to point number 2, which is kind of just the fact that everybody did lose their minds over this tweet, and rightfully so, because as Nintendo fans, we are in a drier season than we have ever been, at least in the Nintendo Switch's generation, because we're used to a pretty regular release schedule, and we're used to knowing about some games that are going to be lined up towards the back half of the year at this point. And once we finish out Luigi's Mansion 2 HD in June, Endless Ocean's already out, and we have Thousand Year Door later this month, we know everything that Nintendo has actually revealed to us, other than Metroid Prime 4, which we haven't seen gameplay of or even a trailer of, other than that PNG file. So you have to start asking the question, is Nintendo really going to stay radio silent for long term, or is this just a calm before the storm of new information? Well, that part's up to you on how hyped you want to become over something like a May 7th investors briefing. I don't necessarily know that Nintendo will or won't confirm Switch 2 there, but I could see them maybe being a little bit more direct with their investors, and I'm kind of in the mindset of a 50-50 chance of them more or less confirming that they're working on something and that they will share more on it soon, or if we're extremely lucky, we'll get something similar to the tweet that came out of their investor briefing in 2016, where they talked about Switch 1, or the OG Switch that we're still playing on till to this day, that the Nintendo NX, which we did already know the code name about, to be fair, at that point in time, would be launching in March of 2017. Would they repeat that and potentially show to us that, yeah, we're going to be launching this console within this fiscal year that we are forecasting, but maybe we're not going to communicate that date yet? It's entirely a possibility. It's also a possibility that they just continue to dance around the questions about the next gen console, and you have to be prepared for that as well. At which point I would fully expect, if we hear nothing from this investors briefing outside of these one-off social media announcements like Nintendo World Championships potentially dropping as a shadow drop one day, I would essentially expect nothing Nintendo news to be major, at least until June Direct, which is probably going to be in the beginning part of June. They have done it towards the end of June in the past, but that's going to be really the next event that we can find out about any new first-party Nintendo content. And as a Nintendo fan, if you really are somebody that keeps up with all their games, it's just a shame to kind of go through a dry time. That said, if you're a Paper Mario Thousand Year Door fan, you have that to look forward to. That's going to be a huge one. I will be picking that one up day one, but it is a remake at the end of the day, and I get that that is not the favorite project of every Nintendo fan to look at. So for everybody else, you know, and Luigi's Mansion 2 HD being the same exact thing, you know, it's one of those deals where we're just going to have to go through a little bit of a dry time before we get to the bigger, exciting announcements. and hopefully a lot of new first party games that we don't know to expect will be revealed for their next gen console once they are ready to talk about it. But Nintendo World Championships is the big headline here. That's the game we're going to get, NES edition. So let me know in the comments down below if you're excited for that reveal at all. Did you think that this was definitely leading into Switch 2 type of teases from Pororo? Do you think he was just trolling and having fun with Nintendo fans, knowing how much people want real official information right now? Will you be picking this up at the $30 price point if it adds enough value in? Are you somebody who might pick it up at the $30 price point even if it is just literally like the collection of the original games, just those original 3 that you can play on your Switch? Or would you need to see more value added in? Because I know I definitely would. But thanks so much for watching the video today, everyone. Make sure you share all your thoughts and feelings regardless of if we agree or disagree. Also make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notification on your way out, and I will see you guys next time.